Welcome to Mind Body Besties, your weekly reset with real talk, a little laughter, and the kind of honest conversations you'd have with your closest friend. I'm Caty, a therapist.
And I'm Rachel, a naturopathic doctor. We're here to share the personal stories, struggles, and wins that have shaped our own health and happiness. This isn't a lecture, it's a safe space to slow down, connect, and feel a little more human again. So grab your coffee, get cozy, and let's reset together. Okay, we're going to talk about parasites today. This is a hot topic, but a very real topic because if you're listening to this, you have parasites because everyone has parasites, which is Caty's favorite thing to think about all the time.
Oh my gosh, I'm so intrigued by this and so disgusted at the same time. And the thought of parasites just is terrifying to me. I don't know why. I'm just gross.
I think I'm so desensitized. I'm like zero reaction.
Okay, so I've done some research into this because I'm all into holistic health and actually quite a few people that I follow on Instagram that are functional health practitioners talk about parasites, but we all have parasites, right? Most of us do.
I mean, everyone has some amount, every single person. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the types of parasites. Where do they live? What do they do? How do you get them?
Yeah. There's a bunch of different broad categories. There's the little protozoa parasites, which are kind of like the little amoebas that we all kind of studied in creek water in science class when we were little. And then there's actual worms, which are the worm type of parasites. And there's a bunch of different other categories, and they live in all different places, and the different species have their different areas in our body that they're adapted to inhabit. And there's so many. I would just like to say that there are so many parasites out there, and only certain ones can even survive in our body as a host.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where do we get parasites from?
Oh my gosh, everywhere. The big common culprits you hear about are undercooked pork, sushi, cat litter box, swimming in fresh water like a lake or a pool or a river or a stream. And, food poisoning in other countries can sometimes be from parasites, mosquitoes and ticks, and any bug that can get through your skin can transmit parasites. Bed bugs are technically parasites. But really, they're in the soil, they're in our food. Even if you rinse off your organic produce, it might still have some parasites on it. They're everywhere, all around us in a lot of places.
It's like a horror movie. Okay. And how concerned should we be about parasites being in all these places?
Yeah. Personally, because I've had parasitic infections, I'm a little more concerned than the average person in terms of just what I do to try to keep my load low. But for most people, they do not cause any problems, especially if you're not immunocompromised. So for the average healthy person who's not immunocompromised, unless you're having symptoms, you probably don't have an infection that's causing any harm.
Okay. So when I think of parasites, I just think about worms being in your digestive system.
Mini earthworms.
Yeah. And I think common, I don't know many parasites. The only ones I can think of are tapeworms or hookworms parasites.
Yeah.
Pinworms. So I recently learned about pinworms because I was looking on social media and a bunch of moms, I don't know how I got stuck in this loop on TikTok, but several moms were saying that their toddlers were saying that their butts itched at night.
Got that when I was in elementary school, people in my class, and then I got it.
Yes. And so basically the moms said so if you wait until nighttime when it's dark and you check their diapers and you look and see, there's little pinworms coming out
So gross. Yeah.
to say hello.
I
Oh my
remember
God.
that. I was in elementary school and it was the most uncomfortable thing of my life. Like, I remember the itching. It was awful. It was
Oh my
gnarly.
God. Like that's horrifying to me. If that ever happens to my daughter, I I don't know what I'm gonna do. I mean, I'm gonna
Lucky,
go get fixed, but
pinworms are the one worm that has an over the counter treatment available for it. It's the only antiparasitic that's over the counter federally in the US.
okay. You know what? Is ringworm a parasite? Because I did get ringworm once.
No, it's such a
Okay.
misnomer. That's a fungus.
Okay. I got that from my cat when I was little.
Also very
Yeah. Okay. So let's start off. Like, what are some typical parasites that people get? I know there are tons, but like, what's common in the United States, even? Because I know in like third world countries, that's different. There are different parasites.
yeah.
Let's talk about here in the US.
Yeah, there's common known parasites and then common hidden parasites. I would say the known ones are going to be the ones that we can sometimes see in the GI tract. So, tapeworms show up as like little white segments of almost undigested rice, is what it looks like. Those
Okay.
can be pretty common. Protozoa, so like the little amoeba types that you can get from any water that's contaminated. Even in Portland, the city drinking water would have levels of crypto and sometimes giardia. So
Okay.
cryptosporidium and giardia, which can cause like if you are severely infected, you can get such diarrhea that you die from your electrolytes being so depleted.
Yes. Okay. So have you ever watched the show Alone where they get like dropped in the
Like
middle
a
of
beaver
nowhere?
and got giardia, right?
Beaver, why would I eat a
Yeah,
beaver?
I would eat
I,
if I was out there.
oh my God, I wouldn't. I'd tap out.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
yeah,
But yeah, they kept talking about Giardia, so I had to like look it up.
yeah.
And me and Logan were watching that episode because we love Alone, and we were like, "Don't eat the beaver! Don't do it!"
And I think it was even a guy, wasn't it the guy from Fayetteville, from Arkansas that ate the beaver?
No, I don't think it
Oh,
was
it
him.
wasn't him. Okay.
No, it was someone else.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I remember the Fayetteville guy because
That'd
we
be too
watched
close to home for you.
specifically. I know, right? I feel like I'm sorry, I don't know you.
But
Uh,
no, yeah, Giardia and crypto. I mean, if someone's having long-term gut symptoms like bloating, gas, diarrhea, I mean, I had that after living in Portland and I've traveled abroad a lot. And it didn't show up on any of my mainstream testing. So like we'll definitely want to dive into that. But those two are common. And then a lot of people have flukes, which is a type of parasite that can live like, yeah, in your liver, or you can have blood flukes. Those are usually in the US, like we like to say we don't have those a lot, but I have worked with a lot of people in the US who've had those. And then the pinworms is probably the other big one, the hookworms that you can get in the soil or something, and then the tapeworms that look like the rice segments.
okay. So are we pooping out all of these parasites when we get rid of them? Or like how do you get rid of ones in your blood? Where do they go?
Yeah, I feel like so many people, like every time I see people talking about parasites and doing a parasite cleanse, they're talking about their gut, which is great because that's a great place to start. And your gut regulates your immune system too. So it helps prevent blood parasites a little bit. But yeah, there are so many parasites in our blood and our lymph. And Babesia is a really common one that people don't know they have in the US. And it's called northern malaria. And it goes and it hides inside your blood cells. I've had this one too. Very fun
You
experience.
said you had this,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, we'll talk about that later.
Yes. And so that one, you wouldn't know that you have it unless you're doing like special blood tests. And when you kill it, it's basically just waste in your bloodstream that your liver has to pull out. Your body's trying to break it down. Your white blood cells are trying to eat it up. And so it's all like background machinery. You would never see any difference in your stool from having babesia.
Okay. So, okay, I have to ask because no one ever answers this. And if you're easily grossed out, I don't know, skip 30 seconds. But like, I have to know When you poop these out,
Yeah.
are there like worms like squirming around in your stool, or are they dead? Are they pieces of like
Yeah.
what are we looking for? How do you know if
For
you've
most
successfully
people,
pooped
they're
them?
dead. But if you're doing an active parasite cleanse and you're doing something that's not making them want to be in your body anymore, and so they're leaving your ecosystem and they're still alive, you've only provoked them. Yeah, I've heard some pretty fun stories about people having experiences with movement while they have a bowel movement, but that is pretty rare. Like, even if they're still kind of alive, like, usually you wouldn't know unless you looked in the stool, and 99% of the time they're dead.
Like, are people ever passing? I mean, I guess we're not like dissecting our stool frequently, but are people ever passing parasites and not even knowing that
Oh
they
yeah.
are?
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And our stool has so much fiber and bulk in it, like from our food, that it's pretty hard to notice unless you were literally using like a sifter and like looking. And so many of them are so small. Like, they're not usually these huge tapeworms like you see in movies or something. They're usually going to be so
Yeah.
small. They just look like a little fiber of your food.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So how does one find out they have parasites?
That's a good question. In the medical textbooks, you would say testing, but testing misses like 90+% of parasitic infections. So, my personal opinion is basically doing a trial. Like, if you do something that's anti-parasitic and you have a response to it, whether better or worse, as long as there wasn't too much overlap, like oregano oil is anti-parasitic, antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, so that's not a good one. But if we had something that was pretty strictly anti-parasitic and you have a response to it, um, that's a pretty good sign. So most people just attribute their symptoms to other things. So I would say like screening your symptoms and then trying treatment safely to see if you get a response.
Okay. What are some of the things you can do for the parasite cleanses? Like if you say, well, let me ask this first. Can we all just benefit from doing a parasite cleanse? Or are there people who shouldn't do it? I'm assuming you should like do this with someone who knows what they're doing. Don't just try on your own.
Yeah, yeah. As long as you're working with someone who's going to check your med interactions and stuff, I think everyone should do it. Even if you're immunocompromised, even if you have a liver condition, even if you have a kidney condition, like so many times people do these parasite cleanses and then their kidney function improves and their liver enzymes drop. And like, so even if you have something that could be a deterrent, as long as you work with someone who knows what they're doing and is being safe, like I think everyone should do it at least every 6 months.
Every 6 months?
Mm-hmm. And that's actually
Oh,
what's recommended for if you were to do preventative deworming of your dog on top of heartworm every month, you'd be giving a dose of something like fenbendazole every 6 months.
yeah, that's a good point. We do deworm our animals, but we don't deworm ourselves.
Yeah, we're animals.
Oh, okay. So every 6 months, how do you do a parasite cleanse? I'm sure there are different protocols for different issues, but like, what's a pretty common protocol someone might do?
Yeah. I would say prepping with nutrients, making sure you're super hydrated and you're getting electrolytes, taking some kind of anti-parasitic that's a good fit for like whatever your goal is. So whether that's herbs, a combo of herbs or meds or a combo of those, and then taking a binder, something to mop up the dead, not only the metabolic waste that your liver is pulling out of your bloodstream and dumping into your intestines to be pooped out, but anything in your gut that has actively, is dying or is something that your body wants to eliminate. And then making sure you have zero constipation, and making sure you replenish yourself afterward.
Okay. How long does a parasite cleanse take?
And it depends on if you're just doing maintenance or if you think you have an active infection. If you're doing maintenance, you could get away theoretically with one dose, like on a single day every 6 months. But if you're treating an active infection, to actually fully treat an infection A lot of times we need a 12-week active phase and then monthly maintenance for like a year.
Oh, wow. Okay. So parasites are not all that easy to get rid of.
Contrary to what the CDC likes to say, like a single dose doesn't really do much for most people. So like, yeah, most people are needing way longer than what is like clinically when you work with someone, they're needing way longer than like what these algorithms are saying.
Are there any like side effects from the herbs or the medications? Like, do you feel bad when you're doing the parasite cleanse?
Yeah, if you have a pretty substantial load, you can have a response to the antiparasitics called a Herxheimer reaction. And it's both a combination of the toxicity of the die off of the parasites. Their biofilm, that the slime that they hide behind from your immune system, often has embedded metals and bacteria and like a bunch of other junk that our immune system has to process every time a parasite dies. And also, a parasite is an actual body, like a substance that we have to somehow break down. So the garbage man cells are trying to eat this up. They're trying to like bombard it with histamine to help attack it. And so we have our own immune system creating inflammation to help attack the infections. And then we have the dead stuff that we need to get rid of. And then we have the parasites that as they die are being provoked and like you're poking the bear a little bit. So they're releasing chemical warfare to try to stay alive too.
Oh, dang. Okay.
You can feel awful. You can also feel amazing because if they just get knocked right out, you're like, whoa, I feel so good. I didn't know my headache and anxiety and insomnia and, depression was due to these parasites.
Wow. Okay. And okay, so you mentioned mental health issues due to parasites. And honestly, this is not something that I've ever really thought about. And like, we don't learn this in school, it's not a common thing. So I did some research and I found an article from Cambridge from 2022. And basically, it was just saying that the parasitic infection causes a lot of inflammation and it generally will affect the brain and the central nervous system, which then can activate the vagus nerve. So, based on all of that, I'm like, okay, vagus nerve is activated. That causes anxiety, puts you into fight or flight. You're upregulated. And then it also mentioned depression and mood disorders and also schizotypal disorders. So that could be something like schizophrenia, which would be horrible. Like that would be terrifying. I had never really thought about the fact that you could maybe be hallucinating or have delusions from parasites. So, and I'm assuming, like this would be something where it comes out of nowhere. And if it comes out of nowhere when you were previously healthy and all of a sudden you're hallucinating and delusional, like, okay, then maybe, I'm sure that's not the first thing someone's going to check, but maybe that could be it. But would this stuff like build and you get more and more depressed or anxious and then maybe start hallucinating in a like really serious case, or would it really just kind of come out of nowhere?
Yeah, it either, but oftentimes it does build. And what's interesting about schizophrenia is, how there's usually like the sudden onset in your 20s or 30s. And that would also be probably the time in your life when your parasitic burden would start being enough to like really feel the manifestation of the parasites. So,
Interesting.
yeah, you can get an acute parasite. Like if you get a tick bite and you're having Lyme symptoms, there's probably Babesia in there. There's going to be a ton of other parasites in that bite that we don't even have, tests for. And so you could get acute symptoms quickly. But for most of us, we're probably going to have a very slow build. And it's kind of like, it's similar to how if you have cancer 20 years from now, like those cells are starting now. Most cancers take 20 years to manifest. And with parasites, a lot of times it takes like 7 years or so to build to a point where you have symptoms from it.
Okay. Wow. Which would then explain like why it would take so long to do a parasite cleanse if you've got some like pretty serious stuff
A
going on.
lifetime worth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other reason that cleanses are so difficult and that a lot of people aren't actually covering what they think they're covering and why they have to keep re-cleansing is because different parasites require different treatments to cover them. Same with bacteria and antibiotics. And the different life cycles of each parasite are only susceptible to certain things at certain times. So, like albendazole might be great at killing the adults, but it's not going to kill the larva. And then, if an adult is laying 1,000 larvae a day, then like what about all those thousands of larvae that then you have to wait till they reach maturity if you're just using a single therapy, that kind of thing.
Is that not, you're so calm talking about this because I can actually see you. And I'm just like, I feel like I have things crawling all over me now. Like thinking about larvae instead of laying larvae in me. Oh
Okay,
my
fun
God.
fact about that. We all have Demodex mites on our skin, which are actually parasites. And that's why so much of our skin clears up if we do topical ivermectin cream. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Oh, I just need to know that. I'm like really easily like creeped out by bugs. Like if a bug jumps on me, I like can't even control the like screaming, flailing, trying to get it off me. So this is just,
I used to be actually like way more calm about bugs. And if I saw a spider, I'd put it outside or whatever. And then ever since I got Lyme and I realized what bug bites could do, including some spider bites that can also transmit bacteria in the Lyme umbrella, I'm like no mercy if they're in my space. I feel bad about it, but if they're in anywhere where they could get to me or my pet, I'm like, nope. Or
I have no mercy because they freak me out and I don't let them around.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so another thing I've seen people talking about is doing parasite cleanses when there's a full moon. Number one, why? And number two, is there any validity to that, or is that just some weird thing someone came up with?
I mean, the once a month reminder is a great idea. So that puts you at least on a month
Sure.
clock.
Okay.
So that's good. Theoretically, you know, when the moon is brighter, we're going to have more serotonin. We're going to, because of that, have less melatonin. So we're not going to sleep as well. And the serotonin can activate parasites and the absence of melatonin. So technically, they're more active. But even if I, like, at the times when I've had parasites in my life, like, I have full on blackout curtains. I have jerry rigged a 100% double curtain blackout situation in my room
Oh
because
my
I don't
gosh.
have the light. And so I'm not getting that full moon light while I sleep. Like it is just as dark on a full moon as it is on another night for me. And I still would notice during the full moon that I would have more symptoms. So I don't know. There's got to be like, we're, my woo woo brain is like, we're finding out so much more about the Earth's electromagnetic field. And
Yeah.
people actually have more AFib, like abnormal cardiac rhythm, when the Earth's electromagnetic field is one way versus another. So, like, we are very sensitive to the Earth's frequency. So, I feel like it's got to be something about the electromagnetic field shifting and that impact.
I believe that because and I've heard the same kind of thing from a lot of nurses, but working in the mental health field, when there is a full moon, we get more people in manic states, more people that are actively suicidal, more like things just, everyone seems to be just really going through it whenever there's a full moon.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like not as noticeable as others, but there have been weeks where someone will be like, is there a full moon?
Yeah.
Or like it's Mercury in retrograde. I don't know what's going on, but the full moon, there's some validity to that.
I've seen the same thing. And yeah, I really do think, I think that's going to be a huge upcoming thing is we have totally neglected that we're energy and we're frequency. And so, of course, we're responding to the frequency in our environment and we're introducing all these new frequencies like they're nothing without researching them first. Like, I think we're in for a big reckoning with that one soon.
Okay. Yeah. So there is some maybe validity to doing the parasite cleanses during the full moon.
I feel like it can't hurt. It's like if you're gonna do it once a month anyway, might as
Might as
well.
well.
Yeah.
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 While you charge your crystals under the moonlight,
Yeah.
you can also do your parasite cleanse.
Exactly. Yes. You do a little
Cleanse everything.
I need that. I need cleansing. I'm down.
I think I've always wanted to do a parasite cleanse, and like I don't have any like active symptoms. I don't think of anything going on, but I that it freaks me out so much. So we'll
See,
see.
yeah. And I feel like if I mean, first of all, I recommend that people just like don't look because if you weren't looking at your stool before and then you suddenly start looking at it while you do a cleanse, you're going to see so many food particles that look like parasites to you and you're going to freak yourself out. Or you're going to
I'm not
see
looking.
biofilm or yeah, or your intestinal lining being shed and you're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, that's parasites." And it might actually not even be. So I just recommend don't look, but that's hard. That is a mental barrier for a lot of people.
No. Okay, so TBD, guys, if I do one, I'll let you know if I make it through without
We'll do an update.
panicking. Yeah, no, I'm not looking if I do one. I don't want to. I don't want to know.
We just need to give you a bunch of GABA supplements, nature's benzo, chill out for a few days, and then do your cleanse.
Right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anything else you can think of that we should talk about?
I want to dive into the testing just a little bit because
Sure.
almost every single person I have worked with who ends up having a parasitic infection that was really influencing their health told me, no, I don't have that. And it could be because their primary care doctor ran a CBC looking at their blood cells and their eosinophils weren't high, but your percent of eosinophils and your amount of eosinophils on a CBC is not really elevated until you're like National Geographic cover sick, like with a parasite,
Okay.
like hospital level. So that is not a good marker. They'll also run a CRP, a general inflammation marker in your blood, and say, if you had a serious infection, that would be high. Again, if you were in the ICU, that would be probably high. But what if you're just a functioning person with a medium level infection? And then stool tests. So not only am I very unimpressed with the microscopic evaluation quality that we get with most conventional lab testing in the US, where that same sample could be sent to a private lab where a different microbiologist is examining it and they will find eggs and worms and things that a conventional lab missed on their microscopic evaluation. But not all parasites are even in your gut. So, like, if we're relying on stool testing, we're limiting half or more of our possible parasite load. And the ones in your gut are going to be going on a shedding time cycle. So, you would have to collect every day for weeks to even if you had a really good microbiologist looking to actually count.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're not all going
Makes
to be leaving in every bowel movement.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So then what's a good way to test for them? Or you just go off symptoms and say, maybe it's parasites. Let's do a parasite
Yeah.
cleanse.
So that's where so there's no test out there. Like even if you do a fancy GI map or a Genova GI effects, I don't see those reliably catching parasites for a lot of people. Even if you do the Quest blood test for Babesia, that doesn't reliably catch that for a lot of people. So the tests, there's always going to be false negatives. There's pretty rarely ever going to be a false positive. So if we catch something, we can always say that's probably true. But if it's negative, we can't rule it out. And so because of that, I often tell people, unless they're having like grossly obvious, like very, very standout symptoms, that it's not usually worth people's time to invest in all the private testing solely for looking to see if they have parasites. Just because what if it comes back negative? We can't even say that they don't have parasites.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
I like to do trials. I like to be like really specific, listen to people's symptoms, okay, that matches this the most closely. Let's do this antiparasitic that would target that and see if you have a response and go from there.
So I find in the holistic space that there are just so many things that like conventional testing doesn't catch. And so people in the holistic space are just like, well, let's just treat this as if you do have it and then go ahead and do whatever protocol.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like MTHFR, genetic methylation detox testing. It's so expensive. Most people aren't getting it done. And so it's not bad for people without it to also take high quality B vitamins. So it's like, let's just treat everyone like they have it. Yeah. But I mean, yeah. And this is where I feel like it's so important to work with someone who does understand medicine, which is hard because most doctors are not holistically trained, because you could get into some hot water if you did some antiparasitic therapy and say you had parasites in your brain and you started getting brain swelling from it, or say the herb you were taking was slowing down your liver processing and you were taking a drug, for whatever reason, a medication, you could get way higher levels, like a toxic surge of that medication bloodstream level. So It's not nothing to do these things, but they're usually very safe as long as we're truly doing it like just with some basic medical knowledge.
Very interesting. So basically, everyone start your parasite cleanse at the next full moon because you've got something. We don't know what it is, but you've got something in there.
Yep. And you will probably feel lighter, less puffy, clearer skin, more regular bowel movements, so less constipation, less diarrhea. You'll probably sleep better. You'll find you have a better, happier mood and less anxiety. Probably stop having your hair falling out. I've seen all these things happen when people kill parasites. So those are all possibilities if there are undiagnosed parasites.
Okay. Oh, maybe I've been convinced. We'll see. Maybe I'll have you start me on a protocol or something.
Follow up part 2.
I will report back if I do this or not and let you know how it went. Anything else?
I think that's it. Just, yeah. And anyone who has any mental health symptoms, parasites, like you said, Caty, not only increase inflammation in your brain, but they can directly affect your hormone chemical signaling and really change your nervous system's like wiring. So there have been cases, of people having schizophrenia and then they do parasite treatment and they don't have schizophrenia anymore, which is supposed to be a lifelong condition. So
yeah, that's so crazy. It all comes back to brain inflammation.
It really does. Our brain is so important.
That's where we end every podcast is brain inflammation. So
Oh, and the last thing I did want to say, histamine intolerance is such a big thing right now. We should do a follow-up where we talk about histamine, but I think that probably 90% of people with mast cell activation and histamine issues have parasitic infections that are priming their immune system to be more alert and overproduce histamine.
Interesting.
Yeah, we've totally got to do another episode. Thank you everyone for tuning in with us today.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly reset. If you loved hanging out with us today, subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share this with a friend who could use a little calm and connection too. This show is for education and inspiration, not medical advice. To learn more or connect with us, check out the show notes below. Until next time, take care of your mind, your body, and your heart.